Have you ever found yourself wishing that people on the internet cared about nuance, cared about the science of training, and raising industry standards instead of tips, tricks, hacks, and quick fixes? And you're sitting here wondering, how on earth can I make my educational and science content attract, connect, and convert people who've never heard of me before? Stay tuned. This episode's for you. Today, we're diving into a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, into a lot of my clients' heart, because I work with so many smart and struggling coaches. And one of the hardest things that they struggle with when it comes to starting and scaling a profitable business, especially in the online space, is the messaging component, the communication of value of their products and services to the right person at the right time. And what I see so many smart and struggling coaches get into, unfortunately, is they come into the space, they're working so hard, and they notice that someone who has perhaps less expertise than they do all of a sudden blow up and build more authority in the online space. And they're left feeling frustrated with, why not me? Why can I not communicate nuance, science, and the importance of real life evidence-based education to help raise industry standards? If you're anything like me or like them, you might be wondering the same things. I'm diving into today some strategies, some ways that you can still do both, meaning meet people where they're at and get them on board with science, education, and what it is that you bring to the table. Because I wrote this in an Instagram post, and this was number 3, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to just go ahead and put it here in number 1 is, does your content sound like Google? Does your content sound like like an educational encyclopedia piece of content? Because what I see so many people get into, especially really smart, educated coaches, people who really care about the science of training, is that they just want to get into the education component, and it sounds like Google. And then one of two things happen when your content sounds like Google. Oftentimes, your content sounds like Google without context. So this is what I wrote in number 1, meaning, are you writing solution-based content without problem or outcome context? So let me give you an example. How to grow on social media. That's not going to sell. That is a solution-based, solution-forward piece of content that already assumes that people want to grow on social media. And it's only going to speak to people who want to grow on social media. It also, there's no problem. Like, there's no specificity in problem. It is solution orientated. Now, you might hear that and think to yourself, oh yeah, but I'm going to click on that because you have that problem. I mean, maybe you do, but if you heard that option and you thought, oh yeah, that really resonates with me, that's because you already have that problem. That's level 2 awareness. But if you said something that was like, hey, this is why all those sticky, like how to grow 10,000 followers on Instagram in the next 90 days, that's specific and outcome. I also share with you the solution and how we're going to do the solution, and it alludes to the problem. Most people are putting out content that is also all solution orientated without problem context or outcome context. So let's put it into health and wellness. So if you're like 3 habits to change your life in 2025, that's super general, much like how to grow on social media. It also speaks to the people who already know that that's what the issue is, that they already know that they have habit, that they want to work on their habit. When in reality, most people double tap that and they're like, oh yeah. Well, let me lose the weight and then I'll work on my habit. Another thing that I see a lot of smart and struggling coaches get into is they try and make the secondary gain be the main goal. So what do I mean by that? For me, after over 10 years in the fitness industry, I've really, in my mind, and I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people talk, communicate what their wants, their goals, and their dreams. Okay. And for me, there are 4 profitable market spaces in the fitness industry or the health and wellness industry. So for me, you have body composition. Okay. This is where, build mass, lose fat, body composition. But the primary goal here is oftentimes that they just want to look and feel better. Okay. And move better too. But the goal is body composition. Okay. Another market we have is the health market. This is people who are really legitimately trying to reduce their A1C markers. They're trying to figure out why they have such chronic fatigue or their hair is falling out, but not gaining energy as a secondary gain to body composition, but gaining energy from this place of maybe adrenal fatigue, whether you believe it exists or not. It doesn't matter. I'm speaking in terms of the context of your client. Okay. So this is whether they have PCOS or they have some autoimmune or, something that's underneath their issues where they just legitimately cannot feel better. So we've got health. Okay. Then we've got performance. Now, performance can be in the reign of athletes, right? But we've also got performance in the older population, or even people who just really have EDs, or they just don't even want to focus on body composition. They just want to focus on performance goals. I want to get better. I want to get stronger. I want to get a pull up. I want to get, I don't want to be alone in my house and fall and then not be able to get up. Right. So you do have performance goals. Then you also have a market of pain, people who are afraid of pain, who don't want to get in pain. And those are the 4 core markets. The trouble is that they do have sometimes some interleading experiences, meaning that people who predominantly want body composition, they're not going to complain if their health improves, their health markers improve. Just on the flip side, where you've got people who really need their health markers to improve, they're not necessarily going to complain if their body composition shifts, but it's a secondary gain. What I see a lot of smart and struggling coaches get into is they try and take the secondary gain and communicate that that's the main gain. And then what really crushes me when I see this oftentimes is that then their offer doesn't convert. They're like, I'm providing what my people are telling me. My people tell me that they want confidence. So then I created a confidence course and I said, build your confidence, and then no one buys it. It's because what people are often saying is that they are telling you the secondary gain, or they're telling you what they think is going to bring them what they really want. Oh, when I have more confidence, then I'm going to be able to XYZ. Then I'm going to be able to look, move, and feel better. Then I'm going to be able to get my full pull up, whatever, right? Or whatever that the main core goal is. So if your content is educational and it is hitting secondary gains, or there's no context around it, then you're running the risk of leaving the people who are meant for you on the table. Okay. And so this does lead to number 2, which is specificity. And we talked a little bit about this when I was talking about the Google, and we're going to get to Google again when we get to number 3, but we're missing specificity. The more specific that you can be in both the problem that you solve and the outcome that you deliver and the way that you deliver it for a specific person, the better. It becomes this arrow that cuts through the noise in the internet space, because you literally have removed any and all doubt on, is this for me? Because if you want to take someone who's never heard of you before and turn them into a customer or client, you need to be able to answer these 4 questions. Why should I listen to you? Will this work? Will this work for me? And do I need this now? When you do that, you will be able to take someone who's never heard of you before and convert them into a customer, client, or lead, depending on where they are inside of their customer journey. When you are general, you speak to no one. And you likely are leaving room on the table for, is this for me? Will this work for me? And then in addition to that, we have to remember that all of us, we're human beings, and we've got that prefrontal cortex, and we've got the conscious mind, and we've got the unconscious mind. And I probably don't have to tell you that the majority of the decisions and the majority of the thoughts and beliefs and things that you are thinking about come from the unconscious mind. And if you don't believe me, think of it like this. Have you ever been driving to the grocery store or to, drop your kids off at school, or even just driving to the gym and thought to yourself, "Oh my gosh, how did I get here?" Were you cognizant of how many lights you went through in order to get from home to the gym? How many were green? How many were red? How many were orange, yellow? See, we go through our brain and our body, which I probably don't have to tell you, but it's always going for automation and going for the path of least resistance. And that comes from that unconscious mind. We just, oh, how did I get here? So your clients are doing the same thing. They're operating from unconscious patterning because they're in a problem that either A, they don't know what the real problem is, or B, they're doing all the wrong things to fix it. And so otherwise they would have solved it by now. That's why it's imperative that our messaging meets them where they're at. And we do this through the language of what it is we say. And by adding specificity and adding context of their problem and their outcome. So when you do that, you'll be able to speak to your client's automatic brain where they raise their hand and think, oh, yes, that's me. Now, here's the thing. When you do this, and when you meet people where they're at, and you shift their perspective, and you demonstrate that, oh, here's the truth about what it is, that the real problem that you're in. When you shift perspective and you think about, oh, let me give you some wins, results in advance, things that you hadn't thought about before. When you do that, they'll lean in. They'll realize, oh, well, of course. Of course I need to learn more about the science of training. Then they're going to be like, oh, then it's going to spark their curiosity. Because because not only are you speaking to their subconscious mind when you are layering in this level of specificity, you now position yourself as the authority and expert that can fix it. Oh, this person gets me on a deep level. So now they must know how to fix it. In order to do that, we need to layer in the conversion content framework. And when you layer in the conversion content framework, this is how you get people to be really excited about the science, because what you're doing is you position the science as ways to debunk the mistakes and the actions that they're taking based on the current belief systems that they're doing, as well as back up your claims as to why this is the way, the new way, your way. And then in that conversion content framework, we need to have a gap, a reason to say, oh, this is why I need to take that next step. Then if we're missing that, then this is why our content falls flat. Or this might be why your content is falling flat. Because here's the truth. A lot of your clients are very smart. They're executives. They are, they care. They're very, very smart. And people care about why, some people care about why things work and why things don't work. So when you can communicate the value of why knowing this matters in the context of the problem that your client's in to get the outcome that they want, not the secondary gain of what they want, you're going to be in a good spot.